In 2023, Germans saved on average 10% of their income. That means for every 1,000 euros they brought home, they saved approximately 100 euros. On the other hand, the Italians only saved 0.3%, the Japanese 2.8%, and while the Americans save a lot more, with 4.7% of their income saved, they still only saved half as much as the average German does every year. The big question here is, how do the Germans do that? What is the big difference between their way of saving and, let's say, the Americans? Well, I am here to tell you. My name is Coco, I am German, and in today's video I'll explain to you the 5 iron rules of German saving. Rule number 1, no credit cards. Anyone who has ever traveled to Germany will be able to tell you that Germans have an aversion to credit cards. Even in the year 2024, there are still a lot of shops in Germany that won't accept credit cards. And it's not that there are no credit cards in Germany. There are. We are aware of the concept. It's just that Germans don't like to use them. I even go as far as to say most Germans don't like having a credit card. Why? Well, because it's a temptation to spend money you don't have. We mostly use debit cards, and that works just as well. The only difference being you can only spend money you actually have in your bank account. For those of you who don't know the difference between a debit and a credit card, it's really easy. If you use a debit card, the amount of money you spend is deducted immediately from your bank account. So, you can only spend money you have in your bank account. If there is no money in your bank account, you can't spend any money. Full stop. But if you use a credit card instead, you have a separate account where all the money that you spend just adds up and you get a bill at the end of the month for the whole amount. So you can spend a lot more money than you actually have, and if you cannot pay off the debt at the end of the month, you pay interest on that debt, just as you would pay interest on a loan. According to Forbes, the average interest on credit cards is 28.7%. Nearly 30% of interest. That's insane! Germans don't stand for that kind of thing. So if we have a credit card in Germany, it's mostly for a specific reason. For example, traveling. I spent a year abroad in Australia and New Zealand, and I got a credit card before I left for booking hotel rooms and flights, etc., etc. I made sure to have enough money on my regular bank account to pay the bills, and I also made sure never to spend more than I actually had. But once I was back in Germany, I immediately canceled the credit card. I cut the card up and I went back to using my debit card. Et voila! That is how we avoid spending unnecessary money on interest. Instead, we take the 30% and save it. Rule number 2, automatic payments. In Germany, nearly all annual or monthly payments are automated. Be it the salary that arrives automatically in your bank account at the end of the month. Be it rent payments, insurance payments, mortgage payments, everything is automated. While checks and checkbooks are still very common in the US, you will hardly ever come across a written check in Germany. The big advantage of that is obvious. You never forget to pay your bills and therefore never have to pay a fine for being late with your payment. The average fine in that area is 1 to 2%. That's a lot of money. Germans simply avoid these costs by automating their payments and save the money instead. Rule number 3, avoid consumer debt at all costs. Now, to be honest, that is a rule that is changing nowadays, but I still grew up in a Germany where consumer debt was severely frowned upon. And that again is obviously connected to our aversion to credit cards. When I grew up, I knew that my parents had a mortgage on our house, but I never ever heard of them financing anything else. They bought the furniture they could afford. They bought used cars in cash. And for a long time, we didn't go on any vacations because we simply couldn't afford any vacations. And since kids learn from their parents, I never ever thought about financing a vacation or shoes or clothes for that matter. If I had the money, I could buy the things I wanted. If I didn't have the money, I simply couldn't. And that was fine with me. I am forever grateful to my parents that they taught me this aversion to any kind of debt. It just makes managing your money and saving so much easier. As I mentioned before, this is changing today in Germany. We are heavily influenced by the US, and therefore credit cards become more accepted. But while the average American has a credit card debt of $3,600, the average German still only has credit card debt of 900 euros. It's still a big difference. Rule number 4, don't flash your wealth in public. Now, I'm sure we've all heard of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and how rich they are and what they spend their money on, but have you ever heard of Klaus Michael Kühne or Dieter Schwarz? No? Well, apparently at the moment, those are the two richest Germans. They both own approximately 40 billion euros. And I, just like most other Germans, have no idea what they look like. Germans, as a rule, do not show their wealth in public. If you are rich in Germany, don't talk about it, don't show it, enjoy your wealth in secrecy. The only thing you're allowed is to complain about how much you have to pay in taxes. Rule number 5, no need to get the name brand, we just go shopping at Aldi. As I just explained, we don't feel the need to keep up with the Joneses all the time. We don't feel the need to explain to anyone how or where we spend our money. And we never ever have to get the name brand if we can get a deal instead. And where else would you get a better deal than at Aldi? Not sponsored, by the way. I'm just German. I'm talking about Aldi all the time. Yes, Aldi, a German invention. You can get super cheap groceries there, but also nearly everything else. Not on a daily basis, but they have sales on nearly every item every year. At certain times of the year, you can get clothes there, or shoes, but even laptops. My first ever laptop was one I bought at Aldi. Could I have gotten the MacBook instead for a lot more money? Yes, I could have. But why? The Aldi computers do the same job for a fraction of the price. Not buying the name brands, but at Aldi or Lidl instead saves us so much money. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of this video. I wanted to say that obviously we are all individuals. So not every German follows all the rules that I just talked about, but as a society, we really value the things that I talked about. We don't like credit cards in general, we don't like consumer debt in general, we really do like shopping at Aldi. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I would personally appreciate it very much if you could give it a thumbs up, if you would drop me a comment or subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out a lot and it is totally for free. You're saving money or you're not spending any money. Excellent. Thank you again and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. But wait, there is more. This is just the chatting section of the video. I just wanted to say I'm really sorry that it took me so long to make another video, but we had the plague in the house, not the actual plague, but I first had a cold, then Toby had a stomach bug, then he gave the stomach bug to me. Therefore, I did really not feel like cooking at all for the last 2 weeks approximately. And that's why it took me so long to make another video. And that's why this is not a cooking video, but a finances video. I hope that's okay with you. I just wanted to say, I really started to feel a bit old. Apart from being sick all the time, which could just be full, you know, who knows. I also have back and neck pain. I always had a little bit of neck pain that was normal for me, but now it has become like really bad back pain. And I'm dealing with it, but it's kind of annoying. So if anybody has any advice on how to deal with back pain, please tell me, because I don't know what to do. I was at the doctor's and they just said, oh, go for walks, you know, stretch. And I'm doing that, but it doesn't help. So if you have advice, please let me know. Okay, that's it from the old woman Coco over here. If you made it that far, please comment down there, back pain, or something like that. All right, thank you and bye-bye.